Okay, so they are contesting high ground here because high ground is obviously awesome. It allows you to just step back straight for cover. It gives you easier sightlines on the people, and in general aiming up is fairly difficult because it makes your aim not linear but rather rotate around like a pivot point. Anybody who's ever tried to shoot at somebody that's straight above them on high ground will know it's almost impossible because your aim doesn't go straight left to right like it normally would when you're looking up, but instead it goes in like a semicircle like that, right? If you're aiming left to right, because you're pivoting around your character's point of view. So that's also part of the reason why contesting people on high ground mechanically can be very, very difficult. Albralelie is nuts indeed. He's insane. I'm at that age where my reaction time are going to start slowing. So once your reaction time slows pretty early on after your prime, but it slows at about the rate of half to 2 milliseconds per year, which is pretty negligible. Like until you're maybe 50, you really shouldn't worry about it. A lot of people think that you need to be super young to be a pro gamer for those mechanics because pro gamers are generally really young. That's actually not true. There's a lot of veterans that are mechanically still able to keep up, and it's more so that the industry is so young and it takes so much time that people that already had a career, you know, didn't have time to practice 16 hours a day and to get in on this early. Plus it's a very stressful, difficult and game dependent career, so generally if they have the opportunity to become a streamer or retire early, they'll eventually do that because pro gaming is awesome, but it's actually like not as easy or chill of a career as a lot of people realize. Okay, by the way, this is what we were talking about last time as well, and we usually see this in great teams. I'm not gonna draw underneath my I'm not gonna draw under my cam this time. I'm not falling for it. His teammate is up there under my cam, pushing from the left side. He knew that the enemies were mainly located towards the roof and the left side over here, so he's pushing from the right side to set up kind of a flank. It gives him a little bit more space to work with, but it also allows him to crossfire with his teammate, which obviously counters the enemy's cover better. And if he can keep or maintain height here and pressure them off high ground, that obviously puts him and his teammates in a very good position for this fight. Sadly takes a lot of poke damage as he pushes up, and now that high ground gets recontested, so he has to dip out. Okay, teammates there to cover for him. He should have healed here, a little ballsy, but whatever. It is Albralelie, it's not like he's gonna miss his shots. Show me your balls, let's do it. I knew that was a bit risky, obviously. He knows what he's doing, but this is actually nice. If you listen to pro players, a lot of the time they'll make a call out like that, where like you can hear that they know that what they're doing is not an ideal play, but they know they're gonna get away with it, right? Like he knows he's just gonna shit on those people.
Let's go. Come on.
Okay, another team is coming in, so this is again port to disengage. You always just want to armor swap and then disengage first. This is great. Something I wanted to talk about here actually, really quickly, with disengaging with ports. We've talked about this a little bit today. Disengaging with portals when you have to. Right here, his teammate is rezzing, right? The lifeline is rezzing the path. The bubble is about to run out, and he's going to make a portal for these guys to run away because there's a team coming from the right that they heard. Okay, so that's why he portals through the choke here, where he can break line of sight from the teammates or the enemies that are chasing him. So far, so good. What's really important here...
portal, let's go. Come on.
God, the slout. What's really important here is that you drop this portal in time. So if he runs through this choke, where he could drop the portal because line of sight is broken, so it's safe, but then he keeps running and his teammates get lasered, well, then it's too late. So what's really important here as a ranked player, and this is actually important for his teammates and not for the Wraith, is that they need to call if they need him to drop the portal early. He's not going to be able to tell. It's their job right now to call it out instantly if they need him to drop the portal, and he will know that as soon as he's on this rock or past this choke, this is safe. As long as they don't make this call, he's going to get more distance so that they have a safer disengage and probably can get to a better position like these buildings, right? Something like that. But if they got pushed there, they had to make the call instantly. Comms are so important, 100%, dude. Comms are make and break ranked teams. Got an enemy team right over on this position, going to be holding this house, and what we're going to be looking at, just like before, we're going to be looking at are they going to crossfire, are they going to flank, how are they going to push this, are they going to take high ground, you know, given that this team is holed up in a defendable position. And those are kind of the aspects we were looking at before. We saw them a little bit isolated. Now that this team is in a much better position than who they were fighting before, they're probably going to use those more intelligently. Port gives them a free disengage. I don't think it was really necessary, but that's fine. You saw that the Pathfinder ziplined to the high ground, right? So you've got somebody that's controlling the high ground. This is Great, you've got the portal if you need to disengage. His teammates are pushing up on the left side of the building, so then he goes up on the right side, so that the enemy team has nowhere to escape to, and they've got some free cover fire here.
Alright, I'll talk about that nade. I stuck one.
Right, really good. You've got both doors covered right here. They don't have a Watson ulti, so he can get nades off for free. Really nice. Right, and a really clean squad wipe. So you see, once again, they're covering the escape, they're covering several angles, they're covering high ground, they have a disengage available. So it's pretty much a free team fight win. That movement was clean. I mean, Albralelie is pretty clean with it. That's why we look at him. Here we're going to talk about line of sight a little bit again, right? So line of sight is very simply, if you know that people are behind you in this direction and you're trying to run away, well then you can be shot until you like line of sight from the rock. Like that's literally what line of sight is. It's very simple, but it's also super important and something that you really want to understand. So if we look at the moment where here, Mac realizes he has to run away. Okay, line of sight is broken now for at least 2 or 3 seconds until they climb over. He could break line of sight again with the truck, and then he can't break line of sight until he makes it either around or on top. And that's what we're gonna be seeing him do, right? Use the truck to break line of sight, go over to the rock, break line of sight. Now he heals because he is covered. So now we're going to be looking at 30 seconds left. He does have a portal that's about to come up that he can work with, and he needs to get to a position where he can end this game, like where he can, how do I say this, where he can be set up for the final fight. And not for any fights that are going on right now. He needs to be in that final fight. And if we look at where the zone's going to pull, it's probably going to pull in this direction, right? So he's going to be trying to get to any defendable position closer to the middle of that circle.
You're doing the Lord's
He
work.
could crawl in on the edge, but since he has a port, that's probably what he's going to do so that he can just hold whatever position he's going to. Also, because there's a team on the wall that would make this bottom position a little bit difficult to play with. But this is where line of sight is going to really matter. Small little tip, he starts his portal here but doesn't actually move. If the portal's still on 99.9%, you can still cancel it as well. So if he pressed this portal again, it would cancel. Nice to know if you're on raid. Okay, so he has to traverse out in the open here. He doesn't use his Q until he's out in the open. For this little part, he doesn't have any cover, right? So that's where he Qs, knowing that when he Qs, his Q ends, because he knows that there's a team up there, right? When his Q ends, he does have cover from that team. So this is line of sight. You know that there's a team up there. You know that they can look down here, and you know that this edge blocks line of sight from them. So you use your Q until you get to it, and now you're safe, right? And now you figure out where you want to go next. Okay, so he's in zone, and now he just wants to have a position that he can hold. Instantly tries to get a high ground here, which is always good. Talked about that a lot today. But not just a high ground, it's a high ground with cover as well from where he knew where teams were, which is let's make that actually visible. Here, this is the cover in blue, and then the enemy is up there. So he's broken line of sight from the enemy, right? So this is where he uses line of sight against the teams that he knows have a dominant position here. But then as soon as he goes up here, he hears people shooting from behind. These people obviously have an open line of sight on him, and this is why we instantly see him like, oh, this is a great position. No, wait, it isn't, and he dips. So this is really understanding that if he doesn't have any cover from that other team, there's no way he can hold that. Now he has line of sight broken from the team on the left. There's only line of sight from the team on the right, so all he needs to do is keep running here around the corner, and if he gets shot by the team on the right, he needs to climb over and hope he doesn't get shot by the team on the left. So he's playing around line of sight while trying to get around here, and this is why he's able to rotate, even though he's literally running past 2 full teams on high ground. It's because he doesn't give them an opportunity to really shoot him. Here again, line of sight is broken from the team over there, line of sight is broken from the team over there, so he's safe, right? And he's trying to get towards this area we were talking about earlier, where the final fight is likely going to happen. Okay, and the other thing, by the way, that I almost forgot to point out is obviously most of the activity was towards that end of the circle of however many teams are alive, and only one team seemed to be holding this high ground here, which pretty much seemed to be dominating this side of the map and not fighting anybody and alone, just spamming. So by getting to this side of the circle, he's also on the non-congested side. So we were talking about map congestion earlier, and this is the non-congested side of this final zone, right? And that's why this side is safer. And if he was on that other side where you just saw that Jibby bubble and smoke, the people that are fighting there are gonna die because they're on the busy side of the circle. They're focused by everybody in a good position. Albralelie's in the quiet side of the circle. His positioning here is awesome. Like, this is... He hasn't shot his gun in so long, but what he's done with his movement is so impressive.
Yeah, I can rat too on Wraith.
Like, this kind of proves how aim isn't all there is to it. Look at what he can do without aiming. How many of us would have been alive through this? Like, this is a Predator lobby, right? Through this chaos. This guy's understanding of the zone and of line of sight and of how to rotate towards the end and non-congested side of this this area is really paying off here. Okay, has to go out through the open, so that's where he uses his Q. Instantly wants to break line of sight because people were fighting up here mostly, right? So even though this is low ground and it kind of doesn't really give him a great escape, he has to go somewhere to break line of sight because there's so many enemies. He obviously can't take a full-on fight. Really great timing for the path not to see him. And now he once again, he moved towards the outside of the fight, lets them engage on each other, and then from there tries the third party from cover. And this is of course where Albralelie does his things best. But look at how good this cover usage, this rotation, this position is. Instantly goes for height even if it's small. Great corner peeks, great patience. Doesn't overexpose himself at all. Even when he missed that shot right there. Look at how fast he unpeaks. Bam. Don't give him time to shoot back. Bam. Don't give him time to shoot back. This is the power of high ground. Saw that little duck there when he was rechambering? That's why he can't get hit when he's not shooting. That's the power of high ground. That little duck is insane, and that's exactly how you use high ground. Okay, fast armor swap, really good. Now he's lost high ground. This is not great. If he can work with these armor swaps, that's okay, but I don't think he wants to fight this because it's kind of a tough position. As what we were talking about earlier when he was on the roof. It's difficult to fight somebody that's straight above you. So he gets some distance first. And then, of course, does what Albralelie does best. Destroys. Really, really clean rotations in this fight. I think it's really easy to watch this game and kind of not notice how smart just him walking around in that way is. Just understanding where you're going to get shot from and where you need to end up. And being patient. So that was really, really nice rotations out of Albralelie. Really, really nice understanding of line of sight and how to both use and counter high ground.